Hello and welcome to Dice on Ice. This is Connor, the DM, Connor number 1 this time. We're playing Shadows over Driftchapel, and we are going to step right into it. Driftchapel is a seaside town, dark and dismal, reeks of brine. It sits on the edge of Trawler's Bay, a dark and stormy sea. And in Driftchapel, with its labyrinthian canals, rotten walkways, raucous and drunken inhabitants, we find ourselves in the place that all adventures start. We start in the tavern of Driftchapel. This inn is called the Rivermouth Inn. And all 4 of you have found yourselves here this evening as it rains and storms heavily, as it does almost all nights here in this dismal, disgusting place in this corner of the world. Drunkards play their games of cards and dice as they yell and cheer and slap each other on the backs and on the faces, and even punching each other when they get a bad hand. The smell of alcohol and brine and mold strikes your noses. You see the bartender, a portly man well into his 50s. He's greasy. His bar cloth is stained black as he wipes grime on the mugs. You see hanging from one wall is a fish. It's been stuffed and lacquered and in disgusting ways preserved. It hangs above the bar with a name on this plaque, Lavidia. You see bits of flotsam, jetsam, river rocks, and driftwood are used to decorate this bar. And as the storm pours and rages on, you hear the pitter-patter of rain on this roof as it hits the shingles, weaves its way into the cracks, falls through the ceiling, and plinks into overfilling buckets laid all over the bar. You can hear the wooden framework of this inn creak and groan as the passing winds literally cause it to sway back and forth in the night. The floor itself seems to heave and tilt. What does it look like when Joseph Slade is drinking at this bar?
Slade, as most people call him, has his coat pulled tight. The only thing visible is his graying beard that overflows from the front. You see as he takes a sip, the froth kind of intermingles with the fuzz from his mustache and his beard, and from where previous grogs have been drank, there's a crust of yellow, and with a tinge of green kind of outlaying the outside of his mouth. The tankard, half full, doesn't ever usually last very long in the hands of Slade. It's the only comfort most of us can get in this hellhole. I sit in a corner, preferably out of the candlelight.
And you're sitting there and you see a particular person that you haven't seen come this way before. And this person is Meryl Grierson. You can introduce us to your character, Brandon.
So Meryl's probably one of the ones sitting there playing games with everyone else and trying to win. He looks like a rough character. He's got a pretty scarred, messed up face. You'd say he's got a face that stopped about 1,000 fists. Broken nose, scarred up face, just looks like a mess. And he's just whatever game they're gambling and playing. He's there to win.
And as you're playing with these patrons, you notice that just the stench of ale and vomit seems to just crescendo as the night grows on, as their eyes become more and more bloodshot as the night passes on. We hop to another part of the bar, where we go to Arlo Carnwright.
Yeah, it definitely would be another part of the bar. Arlo doesn't seem like he fits in here. A little bit more well-dressed, still a little grimy. I mean, it is this town after all. Gaunt-faced, watching everybody, but doesn't seem to actually make eye contact with a single person. First thing he'll do is, upon sitting down, is take a small rag out of his pocket, clean off the bar in front of him, and being a local and a customer coming in, he'll just raise his hand for the barkeep to bring him his normal red wine.
The barkeep finishes off his last bottle of red wine. No shipments have been coming in lately. And it's the last drop as he slides it to you.
Without making eye contact and kind of just looking around. Yes, that will do.
And lastly, we go to Mateo. Introduce us to your character.
Mateo has a cloak wrapped around him that's almost soaked through from the rain that's not outside. He came in just not very long ago. And you can see a little nose popping up from the corner of it occasionally, and he just gives it a little scratch every now and then. He's not really partaking in the drinking or the gambling. He's just there mostly to make sure that nobody gets too seriously hurt on this night when nothing seems to be going on.
Slade, you smell something fishy. You get this sense of something eerie and odd as you notice another patron sitting directly across from you on the other side of this building. They're staring right at you. This person is a bit gaunt and lanky, a patchy beard, but with some kind of energy to their eyes. But what really catches you off guard is when they lick their lips and their eyes blink sideways instead of up and down.
Can I make some sort of check to see if I recognize a feature like that? Is this something that is totally foreign to me, or is this something?
No, I'd think that with your experience, this would be something that you'd know.
The flagon empties a lot faster than I'd like it to. I set it to the table. The barmaiden, if there is one, comes by, maybe attempting to refill it, and I wave her away. Trying not to break eye contact, but with my peripherals, I kind of scope out the power figures of the room. Mateo, whom I'm sure I've briefly encountered, but more so to the stranger Merrill and Arlo, though we don't talk very much. I'm aware of his peculiarness, at least to a vague extent. I reach to my waist and feel the leather of my belt, unclasp the clasps around my pistol. I pull my coat tighter, and I get up, and I'm gonna go over and sit at this guy's table.
And as you stand up and you cross the room, a drunk patron of the night bumps into you as he hurls himself through the inn, out the front door, and belches and vomits over one of the railways into the canal, mixing his own fluids with the dark, disgusting water of Driftchapel. And then you cross, and there this peculiar man sits, and he watches you as you approach the whole time. He picks at his fingernails, which you see are long and crusted, filled with grime and dirt. He gives you a sly smile as you approach.
I'm sure the chair gives off like a squeal as it kind of slides across the damp wood of the floor, kind of maybe even like leaving trails of muck of like the dirt and shit that's all over the floor. And I'll sit down, kind of keeping my coat behind my pistols, not necessarily just revealing them to him, but preparing myself if anything to go awry. And as I sit down, staring isn't a very good way of getting someone's attention.
He just kind of chuckles at that in a weird, off-putting way. And as he just kind of cackles strangely, something interrupts this entire scene. It interrupts the gambling done by Merrill. It interrupts the tasting of red wine of Arlo, and it interrupts the silent vigilance of Mateo as the glass windows to this place shatter as a bottle of some alcohol fitted with a soiled rag lit smashes in and woofs open a big plume of flame as the bottle shatters and the alcohol ignites. A bunch of men wearing thick raincoats, big wide hats covering their features of their face, barge in through the front entrance of this inn. You see them wielding pitchforks, lanterns, and torches. They shout and scream in just animalistic and feral ways as one just skewers a patron of this bar at the end of his pitchfork. Another throws a torch, lighting another flame further yet in the bar still. "Monsters, all of you!" one of them yells. And we're going to roll initiative here. And Arlo, you're the first act as the flames take to the soggy wood of this inn, as the townsfolk and patrons get skewered and cut apart by pitchforks and hatchets in just this bloodshed of unneeded violence. What do you do?
Very slowly, Arlo put down his glass and turned towards the closest to him, the closest to the attackers. And probably anybody paying attention would notice for the first time, Arlo makes eye contact. Kind of cocks his head and, "This is interesting. You should be leaving now." and I'll cast Cause Fear on him. And that's Wisdom saving throw of DC 14. Actually, because of my slot, it would the next closest guy as well, because I can get 2 targets with it.
All right, so you target 2 of these, essentially these angered madmen with your strange eldritch fear, and they both drastically fail their rolls. As in their fear, they look at each other, they scream at each other, and run back off. And even they're standing there outside in the dark now. They're getting drenched by the pouring rain, and they stand there basically frozen in their spots, holding their pitchforks, not knowing what to do.
Then right after they turn to run, I'll turn to another of the attackers, look him dead in the eye. Don't worry, you're next. And I'll cast Hexblade's Curse on him as a bonus action.
Nice. Slade, what do you do?
In the few seconds of this commotion that has happened, I've regrettably broken my eye contact with the questionable fellow I had sat across from, and kind of in a slick motion, I feel like I pivot off one leg and kind of grab the back of this chair that I was sitting in, and in an improvised weapon, I'm just going to smash the closest guy with this chair.
All right, give me that attack roll.
We got hold on. 12 on the die for a total of 14.
Yep, that'll collide with this poor madman.
I almost pictured this as like one of the guys that skewered somebody, and so like his arms are out, and this is just gonna like come across and smack him in the chest. As an improvised weapon, it's normally a D4.
Yep, I'll treat this as like a club, a D4 plus strength.
Okay, you gotta find a D4. All right, we are looking at a total of 4.
So you collide the legs of this chair to this man covered in mud, and you send him just reeling, and he goes to the ground, dropped, and he does not move. As you hear a sickening crunch as the wood collides with his bone and flesh.
I'm a dual wielder, so I can make a bonus action with a melee weapon. I've kind of given myself the flavor of I put a hatchet at the end of my pistol. Would you say I need to draw that first, or could I make a secondary attack on somebody else as a bonus action?
I could say that you could do the latter. You could make an attack.
Okay. 17 on the die.
Yep, that'll do.
So as I smash this guy with the chair, I kind of have drawn my pistol and taken a swipe at whomever is in front of me. I need to. The axe bayonet is a D6 plus strength for a total of 3 damage. As I just kind of hack it, I might even not have made a solid blow as this kind of just slashes him.
No, it catches into this person's billowing rain jacket. You can feel it bite a bit in, but it's been very much padded by the thick leathers that they wear.
You got about 6 seconds to get the hell out of here before you're all dead.
Monsters, monsters, all of you! As like literal foam actually sprays from this person's mouth. Mateo.
So Mateo is going to grab his shield from his back under his cloak and puts it on his arm. And he looks at the seemingly crazed men, and he's going to say to them, "You've committed assault with intent to kill. Surrender yourselves or face retribution." And that's going to be, I'm going to use my channel divinity, emissary of peace, and try to persuade them to lay down their arms.
So what does your channel divinity do mechanically?
It gives me a +5 to persuasion checks.
Okay, yeah, so give me that persuasion roll then.
That's 16 plus 5 is 21.
In a brief moment, you see him stand a bit more passive, realizing what he's done, hearing the truth of your words. And he would, except for there is someone smacking him in the side with an axe hatchet. And so he's going to continue in his own self-defense. But you can see kind of a epiphany of a bit of, sanity wash over this person as they realize where they are and what's happening. And now is more fighting in self-defense rather than pure aggression.
Cool. And that's going to be Mateo.
The only madman standing in this inn right now is the one that's engaged with you, Slade. As he kind of pulls back and just smacks you over the side of your head with his torch that he has in his offhand. It's going to be a 15 to hit you.
When you hit the Windows button and take away all the windows, that is a most definite hit.
Okay, you're going to take 3 points of fire damage from just being clobbered with a torch. And he no longer screams in your face, no longer spits spittle onto your brow. But you hear more shouts and voices from outside, all four of you, as 4 more of these madmen come bursting in. Some even just coming through, smashing the windows that have already been shattered a bit by their preliminary Molotovs. And now they come wrestling in, and you see some of them just wield cleavers. Some you see one with an actual musket. And the rest carry pitchforks and torches. As they come in, they impale themselves on the glass of the window as they climb in, and you see trails of blood and pooling in their abdomen from this all as they enter into this scene. The fire all around you begins to continue to billow and catch flame to all these various wooden things. And you even see the fire start to reach the bar where all the alcohol sits. And the bartender is clamoring, running away from this all. It is now smoky in this area, meaning that everything's going to be lightly obscured, which means something in D&D 5e. All of you have disadvantage on wisdom checks to see. So on perception. That's not going to mean much, I think, in the middle of combat, but it's good to keep in mind. And finally, it comes to Meryl, as the people that you've been playing hands of cards with have been skewered and butchered and even burnt alive in front of you by these intruders and assailants. What do you do?
So Meryl's just going to stand up, swing out his blunderbuss, and go for the first guy he sees, saying, well, I guess I'm going to clean up this game. And 17 to hit. Whoever's closest to me.
That'll hit.
Madman closest to me.
You hit Slade. Yeah, no, it hits.
For 8 damage.
And you completely obliterate this person as the shot goes deep into their chest and bites into their skin and sends them flying from the impact of all the pellets that you spray. This man is very much dead.
Okay. I'll let the blunderbuss. I have it like on a shoulder sling, so I'm going to let it swing down, reach into my vest pockets, and pull out 2 pairs of brass knuckles, and
Alright.
that'll be it.
Brings us back up to Arlo.
Arlo will start walking into the crowd and drop the outer cloak and pull out a small buckler, and almost from the darkness on the back of his cloak as he drops it, he pulls out a long sword with a pitch black blade, and he'll just very slowly and methodically walk up to the closest and take an upward slice at him with it. On the table helps. 18 to hit.
18 hits.
For 6.
And this man is already bleeding profusely from many entry wounds to come into this inn, but you cleanly sent a huge gash going upwards from his armpit and just sending him down, crumpling him to the ground as you kill him where he stands. How long does your fear spell last, by the way?
You can actually take another, it lasts up to a minute, but you can take another attempt at the saving throw at the end of your turn.
Okay. They're both still quivering in their boots outside the inn. That is everything from you?
It is, yes.
Okay. Slade, you realize that the torch that's hit you has actually started to catch fire to the clothing that you have on your shoulder. You need to make a dexterity saving throw right now to put it out when it's early, or else it's going to start to really catch flame to all your furs and stuff that you have.
9 on the die for a total of 14.
And 14 is enough to just pat it out quickly as you notice it. What do you do?
The man that I was kind of in conflict with has since been shot and stabbed.
No, he's still standing there in melee with you, as Meryl had just shot one of the newcomers, the second wave, so to speak.
Okay. So I have a question in regards to my feat crossbow expert. For the sake of a hand crossbow, would you say a pistol is roughly the same in terms of mechanic use of like the within 5 feet of a hostile creature wouldn't impose disadvantage?
I'd say that you could easily have made a feat called pistol expert and had it apply. So
I figured the analogy there was fitting. So with the same pistol that I had taken a slash at him, I have deposited it in my other hand, and as he kind of looks up from the attack, you hear the click back of the firing pin and the pull of the trigger, and a loud pop as I fire with a 16 for a total of 21.
Yep, that'll hit. Square in the chest.
Okay. He's getting shot with 7 points of damage.
And this, again, pierces through his cloak into his skin. He coughs up blood right there in your face because you were so close, and it lands on your cheek. As he clutches then on you, as he's gripping his chest, he has labored breathing and falls crumpling to the ground in front of you.
It seems the dawn has come for you, brother. As I kind of just let him slop to the ground.
Mateo.
Mateo is going to move towards the windows and pull out his battle axe. Are there more dudes out in the street, like other than the ones that were feared?
You can give me a perception check with disadvantage. to look out the window and trying to see if there's anyone else coming. It's dark, it's rainy, it's loud from the storms. So
Oh
it's
boy,
kind
that
of hard
went
to
from
see.
19 to a nat 1.
So you have no idea that the smoke is billowing in your senses. The flame is actually licking at you. So you can't tell beyond just the din of storm what is beyond this inn.
All right. In that case, Mateo is going to yell at the newcomers that aren't engaged with anyone yet. You are all being charged with accessory to assault, battery, and attempted murder. Please surrender your weapons and to leave the vicinity immediately so as to not get injured further. And he's just gonna try and get these guys who just came in to surrender as well.
Okay, you can give me that persuasion or intimidation roll as you wield the law.
That's going to be an 18.
And again, this kind of flash of understanding hits these two that are left. But they've taken on serious wounds, and they look around and they see just how many are dead. And you see an actual primal fear now hits their eyes instead of one of insatiable rage. Doing anything else with your turn? You moved, you looked, you proclaim.
I guess he's just gonna stand in the doorway and kind of like make sure it doesn't collapse in on itself.
All right. The few remaining madmen, the two that were standing outside of the inn, and the two that had just climbed in through the windows and listened to the speech made by Mateo, flee. They turn tail and run. The ones that had climbed in through the windows climb back out again and scramble out into the night. And they disperse. And it's the sound, the din of violence now comes to an end, but the flaming roars of fire still rage on, as that is still something that needs to be dealt with as the fire grows more and more pressing, and all of you feel the heat of it all as temperatures skyrocket in this inn. In fact, all of you are going to be taking 1 point of fire damage from this heat. Meryl, what do you do?
So, seeing everyone take off, basically just turn tail and run, Meryl's going to turn back to the table and scoop up any coins he has and say, well, this party's over. And he heads out the door, out into the street to get out of the fire.
And as you leave the building, you hear the four of them as they run off screaming to the night. They're monsters! All of them! Flee! Save yourselves! As they run off into the night, and one of them actually you hear makes a blood-curdling scream. As it then follows by the sound of someone drowning. And then becomes silent. But then you stand with your back to the roaring flame of the inn, and you can see it all coming down with like sparks flying from the burning pillars and beams. It's this beacon of light, this bonfire in an otherwise dark and stormy night. Do you do anything else with your turn?
I'll look myself over and make sure I didn't catch any stray bullets or anything else, make sure I'm okay, and just kind of step a little bit further away from the building and turn back and watch it.
Arlo, the building is burning around you as all of the aggressors have fled. What do?
I'll take a moment over the man that I just cut wide open, and I'll lean down and kind of follow where his eyes are now staring towards. Just shake my head. You don't see. And I'll get up and start walking out while I pull a rag and start wiping my hands again.
And you likewise see the great bonfire that was once the inn, as it spits and steams and hisses as the rain hits the fire and this loud roaring bonfire. Slade, how about you?
I would like to just make a quick perception of the room to see if there's anybody, besides, I believe, Mateo and myself still in the bar.
Yeah, so the smoke is causing your eyes to burn in water. It's going to be at disadvantage to make your perception check.
Okay. Nat 20 on one and a 7 on the other for a total of 10.
You notice that there are many dead bodies. You notice that there is one, the barmaiden that had come by to fill your drink, and you declined, is kind of coughing in the corner, hidden behind some bar stool. You actually hear her before you see her. And the thing that you notice most is that strange person that you saw earlier, one with the sideways eyeballs, is no longer here. No trace.
Those cold-blooded folk got no courage. And I'm gonna try and just muscle this chick like either under my arm or fireman's throw, and perhaps even like Mateo, the maiden, as I go for her to maybe even hand her off to him since he's close to the door. So do you think like a athletics check?
I think she'd be more than willing to comply with like this help as you kind of reach for her and help her up, as long as you kind of like offer her words of support rather than like
Right, I'm gonna
mouth of "I'm gonna cut you open" kind of thing.
I'm saving you. Quickly, the integrity of the building is collapsing. Moments. We have but moments. Mateo, please. And I'm gonna kind of hand her off to him, and with whatever movement I can, move to the door.
And you're also able to make it out. And Mateo, you're given this weeping, sobbing, shaking young woman who was coughing and bleeding from some small nick and some stray bullet that had happened earlier.
Mateo's gonna pat her on the shoulder and rush her out, and he's gonna give her 3 points of lay on hands healing. Looking outside, could Mateo tell if the bartender made it out?
You saw him flee earlier, and there's no trace of him. So hopefully he made it out alive.
Gotcha. So then, after the last person he was aware of was out, Mateo would probably get himself to safety as well.
So the four of you stand. Well, five of you, including the barmaiden, as the building of the Rivermouth Inn just gets completely consumed by this bonfire.
That is quite a pity. That may have been the last bottle of red wine in this town.
Mateo's gonna put a hand on the barmaiden's shoulder, and he's gonna say, "What's your name, miss?"
Rosanna, she would whimper.
Rosanna, is there a back door that your boss could have gotten out of?
Father, yeah. Our home is the street that way.
Would you like an escort home, just to make sure if those madmen show up again, you aren't hurt in any way?
That would be very, very nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Not a word of it. It's what I do.
Merrill will be there kind of standing and counting the coins in his hand that he picked up from the table and just look up. Got yourself a trophy for the night, lawman?
No, just getting her to where it's safe.
Mm-hmm. You'll pocket the coins. Interesting town you got here.
You haven't been here very long, have you?
Nope. I haven't.
Well, welcome to Driftchapel.
If all the nights are that interesting, I can make do here.
Certainly not the usual, but far from out of the ordinary. Holstering his pistol, I do have a question for the few of you. Perhaps you've seen before the events that just took place. I had set myself across from a man in the bar. Would any of you have happened to see where he went?
Can't say that it did.
I don't recall seeing any man like that.
Shame. I had some words for him. Perhaps he some for me.
So, Mateo, do you go and take the Rosanna, the barmaiden, to her home?
Yes, but before departing, he'd point at the three that had come out with him. Arlo, Slade, and Merrill. And he'd say, "You three stay here. I'm going to need to file reports on this, and I'd like accounts from all points of view."
Oh, I don't think that'll be necessary. Nothing on the books.
Out of context question, Mateo, are you a Dawnbringer?
No, Redemption Paladin. Or do you mean like a Dawn Hammer, like the faction?
Yeah.
He is, yes.
Okay.
I know the routines. Though you are a little bit more to the books.
Well, we can't let it be said a Carnwright would disobey the law. I'll wait around for now.
You'll be compensated for your time. I appreciate your staying for questions. And then he'd start to lead her off.
Merrill will turn to the others after he says that, and now he's talking my language.
So, Mateo, you leave the three of them and take Rosanna the few streets down to where her small water... everything is a waterside shack here, as the canals of Driftchapel wind and snake their way through. This town is built on layers upon layers. Think like Venice, but like extremely ramshackle and shoddily built. Made of rotting wood, and it's a small little shack that you're taken to. But you can't get the sense of something eerie hitting your senses as you walk. You get the sensation that something is watching you in the darkness, but most importantly, something is hunting you in the darkness. You feel those eyes on your back, that breath on your neck. And as you whip your head around to maybe see what it is, it's nothing. This is the place, she would say.
Well, stay safe. If you hear anything like them coming towards you, just run towards the guards post. I can almost assure you I'll be there.
Thank you. And she enters as she unlatches the door with a rusty key and slips in. Now you're left alone in the darkness as you realize none of the lamps of Driftchapel had been lit, or if they had, they'd been extinguished by the storm, and you are completely alone in almost total darkness, the only light being the small flickering flame of what is the burning Rivermouth Inn in the distance.
Mateo is going to pull out his shield and his axe and just going to be on alert. He doesn't really think that what's going on right now is going to be working out for him too soon.
You hear strange gurgling and bubbling and frothing from the various canals. And these things just grate on your senses and make your skin crawl. I need you to make a madness roll, please. Rolling your die.
He is fine. He got a 7.
All right, you shake it off. And what do you do now as you have this sensation crawling under your skin but doing nothing too much to your brain?
Like I say, he's just going to stay on alert with his equipment out and is going to make his way back to the inn that just burned down.
So the three of you who are left, what do you do as Mateo is coming back to the scene? What have you done?
I think Arlo would just be standing off, looking out over the water. We're up at the sky. Not many stars out tonight. And would just stand there in silence.
Merrill will look up. Does he see a lot of stars up there? Or is it kind of overcast?
It is extremely overcast. As you look up, you get a face full of rain.
Oh, that's because it's cloudy and rainy. Not going to see many stars through that. He'll pull up his collar a little bit and kind of hunch down, try and somehow to stay dry.
Slade has found like an awning, a near awning or some sort of porch, probably maybe across the street if there is one. And he has lit up like the stump of a chewed cigar. He's taking some drags off that, kind of waiting patiently, but you can tell that he's looking around enough that he's not just hanging out. He's definitely making sure the only person to approach is Mateo.
And so Mateo, you make your way back through the darkness following that beacon, and you come across these three. They have seemingly remained put, thanks to your words.
So, from each of your points of view, what exactly is what triggered this attack? What was the start of it?
Well, between me, you, and the boat peg over there, I'd have to say it was that bottle of grog tossed through the window that ignited everything on fire that started the whole thing.
Would you two be inclined to agree with him?
I believe you said something about a reward for sticking around and helping you.
Yes, that will be distributed after I get all the information for my questions.
Yeah, it was that bottle that went through the window. That looks like that's what kind of lit it up.
Yes, that sounds about right.
The men were just spouting nonsense about people inside being monsters. Would you agree with this statement?
If we're just going to go through the actions, I'll take my leave. You know damn well that's what happened.
It just helps aid the paperwork through the process if multiple perspectives are written down and they share the same story.
Yeah, like he said, came through, started up a mess. We finished it, kind of. Well, the bar is still finishing itself.
More or less.
And have you anything to say on this, sir? And Mateo motions his head towards Arlo.
Arlo's still kind of just staring off into the sky. Yes, that sounds about correct.
And would you all give permission to have your names be attached to the record?
No.
Whatever you got to do. Oh, man.
As you will.
Thank you for your time. And Mateo is going to put 1 gold into each of their hands.
When you reach out towards Arlo, he will kind of glance in your direction, but not quite make eye contact. Never will put his hand out towards you, and just shake his head and look away again.
You don't want to be paid for your time?
I have no requirement. Thank you.
If he's not going to take that, I'll take his share.
Is this agreeable to you?
As you will. And at that, he'll glance back towards Merrill as well. But once again, he never quite looks at you. Whenever Arlo, it's always like he's looking over your shoulder or something like that.
Mateo puts Arlo's piece of gold into Merrill's hand.
Merrill nods and just, thank you much. Not too bad for a night.
Now, just so that I might get in contact with you in case any of this madness ever gets anywhere, what names would I be searching for?
Hear a little snicker. Well, Arlo Carnwright, of course. The Carnwright family is known here. We control the shipwrights of half the town.
You can just call me M. I'm not going to be in town that long, I don't think. Just here to tie up some business, hopefully get out and back to where I come from.
Before I make my leave, you're all positive you didn't see where that man went off to. Very well. Perhaps the mob wasn't wrong. There are monsters among us. Be wary, gentlemen. They are afoot in this very town.
You hear something being knocked over little moments after Slade says that. Ah, shit! You hear in the distance as it's almost drowned out by the wind. You see a figure holding a long stick, it seems, is trying to light the lamps of Driftchapel, perhaps a street down from where you're standing now. You see a little flame appear in the light, catches as the gas lamp catches fire, illuminates the area around, and then the wind blows it out, and it illuminates again and catches fully And this figure now you can see is bathed now in this light, this nice yellowish light, and you just see big baggy clothing and a wide hat and thick gloves in this long pole. You realize at the end of this long pole is a little wick of a candle that has a little flame to it. But what you also see in this scene is the shadows around her seem to crawl. They seem to shift and move in your periphery. Never if you look directly at them. Something just seems very amiss. And she turns then and sees the great bonfire, now a bit dying down, of the Rivermouth Inn. And she sees the four of you standing. And you hear a call being made, but it's drowned out by the wind. But you see this figure yelling something at you.
Meryl will just kind of turn and glance at the others and see what they're doing.
You seem to be struggling out there. Do you need assistance? Perhaps Mateo could give you a hand.
We must light the lamps! You hear a surprisingly female voice yell out. The figure does not seem to be wearing the female's clothing in this time period. More of a big, thick fisherman's garb. And as she says that, you'd also notice the shadows standing and being cast over the four of you and around you also seem to rise and shift in your periphery.
Mateo would go over to the girl lighting the lamps, and he'd kind of like grab her by the waist and pull her up just to make it easier to reach the ignition point of the lamps.
She's like down the street from you now, not directly within.
Gotcha.
So you'd have to like walk over there considerably to get to her.
Gotcha.
Would you do so?
Gentlemen, have a safe night. Don't do anything dumb. And then he'd walk over to where she is.
How about the other three of you?
Miss out on the fun? Nah. Mateo, I'll escort you. Someone's got to look out for you, right?
Meryl will glance at Arlo and see what he does first before he makes up a decision.
After a couple of seconds, Arlo would just nod his head and finally look down. Kind of start walking that way as well. Interested now.
By the way, those Decaphoc are really big ones.
So, standing by himself still in the rain, I'm not going to stand here by myself. And he just kind of puts his hands in his vest and starts walking down the street.
So you approach this crossroads. As you cross this stretch of shadow, you feel something thick tugging at your boots. Something that seems to be weighing you down more so than anything else. It doesn't quite feel like the stickiness of mud, you know how your boot would catch into thick mud. It feels like you're being pulled down or tied down. It's like walking through reeds or grass or even thick roots. But as you look down in the dim light, you can't see anything over your feet. And again, this sensation of just being watched. Eyes on your backs. The hairs on the back of your necks stand as some chill wanders down your spine. a gust of wind blows through and extinguishes all the lamps that this person has been trying to light. By the time you approach, it is in darkness as she's struggling to light one of these lamps. Help me! Light the lamps!
I will be glad to assist. And he's gonna like lift her up so that it's easier to reach where the lamp.
I got the pole! Get your own lamp. I got this one.
Where might I get something to light it?
Oh, here. And she would give you a striking stone.
Cool. So then I guess Mateo is going to go to the lamp that's next closer to the tavern and start to light that one.
And so you can give me, as we're going to be entering somewhat of initiative, we're not going to roll for it. We're just going to go around the table here. I'm going to start off with you, Mateo. You can give me an ability check of your choice, strength through charisma, telling me how you are lighting this lamp.
So Mateo is probably just like hand over hand pulling himself up the lamp and just holding himself with his legs there as he just does the striking stone as close as he can to where whatever is fueling it would be coming out. So I think that'd be strength.
Yep, give me a strength roll then to hold your heavier frame aloft.
That would be a modified 20.
And so it catches, and the smell of burning gas strikes your nose. A small little blue flame catches and lights the area around. But you feel that chill wind, and you see the flame flicker as the wind itself is catching beneath the glass coverings and causing it to flicker and even extinguish if the winds are too strong. Good, good, you hear her say, and you saw her face. You see that she has darker olive skin, thick brown hair, and a huge hat and clothing that seems to be like 2 or 3 sizes too large for her, men's clothing. But she seems very young at this, and she's getting one of these lamps lit as well with the little flame at the end of her stick. The monsters stray from the light! She would yell in the wind. Slade, what do you do?
I'm adopting a similar kind of hand over hand climbing technique that Mateo had used, but perhaps a little bit more dexterous. Actually, what I think I'm using like my belt. I've wrapped my belt around the pole, so as I lean back, it gives me some tension to climb up and hoist myself up. So looking for like a dexterity base.
Sure, give me that dexterity roll.
Not so hot. Just flat dexterity.
Yep.
Looking at a total of 12.
So you, however, your hands start to shake as a cold, chill wind passes through, and the coldness and numbness of the wind chills your fingertips. You're not able to strike the stone properly, and you notice around you, at this sparks, the shadows themselves seem to coil around the base of this lamp that you're at, and it may be a trick of the light. You'll have to give me a madness roll for this, but something seems to reach out at you in this darkness.
Not too good on this one. Got a 2.
All right, your die is going to decrease the size
All right, so I'm going from a D10
to a D8.
to a D8.
And as this die shrinking happens, you actually have a madness effect come across you. Let's see if I can flip to the madness effects here. I'm totally prepared for this, guys. Let's see. Come on, PDF. Here we go. Oh. Give me a D10 roll, please.
A 6.
A 6. You have this buildup of anxiety and nausea that strikes your brain. You are now going to be poisoned, have the poison condition, as your stomach is roiling. You're very upset, like physically, by this for about the next 2 minutes.
There's almost a sensation of seasickness, the rocking of a boat that brings back some chilling memories of my past. And it, as you said, makes me very, very sick to my stomach.
And this darkness seems to just grab you and pull you down. As you feel a sharp tug happen on one of the boots of your legs. And it's going to be a 16 to hit you. And this chilling cold almost like seeps into like the leather of your foot, and you feel a thick, weird sensation that burns your skin and flesh. Almost as if not by fire, but through just some chemical acid, as you take 3 points of acid damage from this. We're going to go to Arlo.
After taking a couple of seconds just staring off into the darkness, is there anybody else on the street besides for us and the lamplighter?
Not that you can see, no people.
No. Then I'd like to make a charisma check on this, so maybe I can turn to Slade. Come now, you've already proven yourself to be a capable man. Get up and try it again, would you?
So you try to bolster your ally with this charisma check.
Yep. Ooh. 9.
Your words echo in the darkness. They bounce back at you, distorted, and repeat the words that you had said over and over again, bouncing through your mind. You feel something tug on the back of your neck and almost like lift you and kind of pull you backwards towards one of the alleyways. You're going to have to give me a madness roll of your madness die.
That's a 6.
So you're safe as you shake off this echoing voice. But thankfully, you're able to shake all of it off as whatever was reaching and touching the back of your neck seems to fade. Meryl, what do you do?
So Meryl will see Joseph or Slade like start to shake that he's cold and fall down, and go up to him and grab the striking stone out of his hands. Oh, you act like you've never been out in the cold. And he goes to climb up there to light it himself and kind of weather through the cold himself.
As you go to the prone or somewhat prone form of Slade, you kind of look down at him, grab the striking stone. As you look up to go see this lamp, you see something shift, literally inches from your head in the darkness, as if this pitch black darkness is shifting and moving like oily ink in front of you. And you realize you can see 2 glistening whites. Not of eyes, but just some kind of pinpoint weirdness. Maybe it's just a reflection. Maybe it's just a trick of your mind. You can have to roll on the madness. Your madness die. As you realize that there is something there that you can't quite fathom or see.
I'm good. I got 4 on my D8, so it doesn't go down. But I'll take kind of a step back and I'll move on to the next lamp instead. Leave that one where it is and kind of move on to whatever the next closest lamp would be and try to light that one.
All right. And as you approach this lamp, what kind of tactic do you have with it? Which ability score are you going to use?
Kind of to do some bravado, because watching Slade get cold, I just want to kind of muscle through it and stand there and not show that I'm cold and get up there and try and strike it real quick. So I'd like to try and make a constitution for that.
Yep. You brace yourself against these chill winds that come through as the rain is drenching you. Give me that constitution roll.
And just a roll right now to save.
Yeah, just a roll.
All right, 15.
15 is enough to be able to just stomach the cold of it all. And success. You catch this gas lamp alight, and it sheds the area around you in a bright light. And this light is enough to actually cause a reflection to appear over that form that was hovering over Slade's body that was kind of behind him. And you see that there is something literally there made of ink and darkness. It seems to absorb all the light hitting it as just this void, this in the middle of light. And it's towering over him with no limbs. You can't really make out limbs or a head or anything. It's so amorphous. But it's starting to just, I guess, envelop Slade as you see it.
Hey Slade, you seeing that, right?
Get away from me.
And we're going to go to Mateo. What do you do?
Can Mateo see the thing in the alley?
Yes. The thing that's hovering over Slade, absolutely.
Doing his duty, he's going to run over to the thing, pulling his axe out, and he's just going to try and take a chop at it.
All right, give me an attack roll then.
That is not going to hit.
And so as you strike with your battle axe, as it whizzes through the air, it vanishes literally in front of you. It's not there anymore, and you just had this sweeping blow inches over Slade's head. There's nothing there as you blink your eyes, and maybe you look around and you don't see it anywhere near proximity. It did not shift or move a few feet over. It's gone.
All right, all four of you, you're sticking near me for the remainder of the night. There's something strange going on, and I don't want any more unnecessary casualties.
Slade, what do you do?
You ain't gonna tell me twice.
I'm gonna scramble to my feet, try and get behind Mateo to put him in between whatever it was that I thought was there.
Fucking get these lamps lit. Get the hell out of here.
Would you still like me to make a check to try and get this lamp lit, or
If you want to light a lamp this turn, absolutely, you can make a check for it. If you wish to cower and hide behind Mateo, you can actually do that.
I think cowering and hiding sounds about right.
All right. We'll hop to Arlo.
After feeling like something was pulling on my neck, I'll be staring into the shadows, and with the commotion behind him, anybody paying attention will see Arlo reach into the shadow and pull it out, but now in his hand is that black obsidian sword again. And with that in hand, put it on the shoulder and, well, that's new, and start walking back over towards the group.
As you pull this obsidian sword out of the darkness, you see an eyeball is part of its form. About halfway up the blade. It's not an eyeball of a person, of a human. It's strange, has a strange pupil, like that of a squid with its strange multi-slitted eye. And it blinks one time at you before vanishing into the darkness of the sword.
look at the sword, look up into the sky again. Then go to rejoin the group.
Portia, sorry, the woman announced herself. Okay, just gotta get some more. They feed off the darkness. And she's trying to fidget with one or more of these lamps. Meryl, what do you do?
So, seeing her fidget with the lamps and kind of what's all's going on, I want to look around on the ground and see if I can pick up, like, a plank, a 2x4, something with some reach to it, and kind of give her some cover and try and, try and cover her while she tries to light a lamp.
So this can you can give me either a strength check just to hold this larger thing aloft to cover it, or you can give me an intelligence check or a wisdom check to really kind of like position this board correctly to block the wind. Your choice between those three.
Not that mental, but I'm more physical, so I'll go with a strength one instead.
Yeah. You just pick up something big to cover it. Maybe it's like
Yeah.
a part of a dilapidated building. Just
I'll find part of a door,
Yeah.
some piece of a door nearby, and I'll try and hold it up there to block the wind. That will be 19.
And you were able to stop the wind, and again, this lamp ignites, and this sense of comfort, I guess, washes over the four of you as you realize you had this nagging anxiety, this nagging fear gripping at your heart, causing it to beat fast. And now it stops and slows as this moment has lifted. You feel the warmth of the light as it battles away the shadows of this the street corner. Whew, the woman says, and she extends and she like just shakes your hand, Meryl. I'm Portia. Thanks for that.
Yeah, what is going on in this town?
Well, that's a loaded question. Nothing good. Nothing good. Seems the winds are dying down now, and hopefully these lamps will stay lit for the rest of the night.
Our new friend is right. Darkness is a dangerous place.
There are things lurking out in this darkness. Monsters. I know that the light keeps them back, but nothing more. Dieter knows more, but it's hard to get anything out of him these days.
Mateo would join the rest of them with Slade, and he'd probably ask, well, where can we find Dieter?
Oh, he's at the taxidermist place. Down the road there. That's where all of us have been boarding ourselves up in these dark times.
The taxidermist place.
I have to
Yeah,
say
it's
that
out of the
seems
way.
rather macabre.
Yeah. I thought the tavern was a better spot, but, well, that didn't really work out.
What happened there? I saw it. I see it now. Burning in front of me. What's going on?
Man,
Madmen, an investigation is going to be started in the morning to see what motives such were.
I fear morning may not come now.
Oh, don't worry, morning will come. It's about whether we're here or not, we'll see, but morning will Probably come. Probably.
I guess.
Dawn always comes. If it didn't, well, world was gone the day before.
That's true. So the disappearances of late and the murders. It's hard to keep a
Would any of
solid
the
mind.
madmen be previously disappeared people? Would Mateo have knowledge of this?
You, Mateo, as someone who would kind of deal with these things if they ever happen, you've noticed that there's been a growing of this kind of activity, just people being violent and rioting in the night as they get drunk. It's always been chalked up to just drunk people being drunk. But it's been kind of like it's a slow climb, like a frog in boiling water. Now it just seems to be the tipping point where the only people that are active at night are these rioting madmen, frothing at the mouths, stabbing people with pitchforks and hatchets and pistols and muskets. And this was the culmination of their activities was tonight. And it's always just a violent situation whenever they come through.
For the one that we just encountered, would Mateo have recognized any of the madmen as men who had previously disappeared?
No.
Okay.
These are all regular people, if that makes any sense.
Yep. Disappeared just means there's hope that they're still alive.
When it's half the town, something has to be going on.
Are we friends or something?
And
Well, not everyone who looks into the darkness comes back.
well, then I guess we need to bring a strong light in and get them back out. Let's all head to the taxidermist so that we can all get some rest in a relatively sick place.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if Dieter will like this, but I'll show you the way. And as she leads you down these labyrinthian alleyways of Driftchapel, as you set to begin this little journey, you hear a loud crash and a growling sound coming from an alleyway back. And if you were to look, you'd see some quick figure dart behind one of the buildings as it had knocked over a pile of refuse and rubble and flotsam, crashing down into the alleyway. Faster.
Yeah, let's
Portia
pick
would
up the
say.
pace here. And Meryl will start to go from like a steady walk to a kind of a trot into a run if it gets up to that point.
And as you make your way down these streets, Portia is holding a great lantern aloft to cast this whole area around you guys as you walk in a bright zone of light. We're going to go ahead and take our small break to go fill our drinks, visit the washroom, and we'll see you guys in a few minutes.
If you guys like Eldritch Horrors, you should probably go check out some SCP. I heard from Connor #1 that they inspired some future things coming from this channel. I think you'd enjoy it.
That sounds like something an SCP would say.
Quite the possibility there.
What is an SCP?
They're like, I guess, cryptids, I guess, that have like weird supernatural phenomenon around them.
Mhm.
They're all I guess, fan created, if that makes any sense, like community created, and just some forums dedicated to it. And they have like a huge, hundreds of little different SCPs like designed and logged and cataloged and invented.
They're
and
up
stuff
to
like that.
like 5,000 something
Yeah.
now.
Just strange anomalies. Like if you like think of like X-Files stuff, they're kind of like that.
Shit, I've had some of those happen to me.
Yeah, just like those weird moments where you're like, well, I walked through this door and went into the same room that I left. SCP did it.
I went to a concert not too long ago, and we were crossing the road, and like there was 2 cars coming, and we were waiting for them to cross in front of us, and like the one car passed, and the second car like just disappeared. It's like too spoopy for me.
Yeah, don't like it when cars just vanish in thin air.
We went and got drunk, so it's fine.
That's what the people of Driftchapel are doing. As they say these weird things, they just go to the tavern and.
This was our
here's
one.
Another weird thing. During the Blitz, displays of public drunkenness in London actually went down.
Interesting.
Session's going great so far, by the way.
Thank you.
Speak for yourself. I'm terrified.
Mateo's a paladin. He's doing paladin things.
Yeah, I have a feeling you and I are going to be at opposite spectrums at some point here.
Yeah, probably. That's fine.
A criminal, a paladin walk into a bar.
Mateo used to be a criminal. He knows how it
It
is.
promptly burned down.
Yep. Your first night here, you burnt down a bar. Like, why? What happened? What did you do?
We didn't do anything.
Sure.
So it didn't really help matters that my wife's on early shift. I open my office door and every light in the house is turned off.
Huh. Hopefully, you didn't see anything lurking in the darkness.
No, but I can hear my dog snoring from across the house, so I heard things.
Was it really your dog snoring, or was it something pretending to be your dog snoring?
Eldritch noises from the shadows.
Did you hear a small gurgle happening between the snores? Was it really your dog this whole time? So, we will come back now that everyone's here. As you come upon the taxidermist shop, and the thing that strikes you in this dark, dismal rain is it has a nice sign. Nice would be a bad word to use, however. A swinging wooden sign that just kind of swings and flutters in the wind. The sign is on top of the sign is an owl, though in no way, shape, or form would this owl be alive, for it looks lacquered and stuffed and hoisted in a strange position as it has been taxidermized, which is a real word. And above the and below on the sign says taxidermy, fast and cheap. And you see that this building, its windows are dark. They're covered in soot. It's just like sandwiched between two larger buildings that are boarded up now and abandoned. A strange chemical hits your noses as you approach this building. It's not quite alcohol, but there's a hit of like really hard alcohol that hits your nose as well, but it's just something else that's even more queasying. Well, here it is. After you, Portia says to the four of you.
Okay.
No, after you. I insist.
I'll head in first. And Mateo is going to try to open the door.
As you open the door, you hear a ding ding as a little bell jingles. And as you swing the door open, you see kind of a faint candlelight illuminating the whole room that you're in a kind of a soft glow. And standing directly in front of you is a great beast. It has a great fur, stands 8 feet tall, arms raised, ready to pounce on you. Then you realize it's not moving. It has a weird position of its mouth, and the eyes seem to be made of marble or glass, as it's just this beast. And it looks to be a bear mixed with parts of tiger to form some amalgamation of a beast that does not exist in the real world.
This taxidermist looks to be an accomplished surgeon too, and I was just gonna walk underneath the tiger bear's forepaws to get in.
Floorboards creak with every step that you make. You smell dust and mildew and formaldehyde and alcohol as you walk in through this area. You see dozens of animals ranging from beavers to mice to eagles to birds to other animals, just in a huge display in their taxidermized state. You see display case. They're in these like glass display cases.
Everybody,
Go ahead.
Everybody can come on in. It seems safe enough.
Well, thank you for that, Mr. Lawman. And Meryl will kind of trudge in and start glancing around the room. Real quick, will Meryl notice anything that might be hidden away or valuable, or where valuables might be hidden at?
You see the equivalent of kind of a cash register kind of setup where there's like this long desk where a clerk or a person might be on the other side of. And you imagine there's probably a lot of shelves on the I guess owner facing side of it. Just kind of peek over your suspicions that are confirmed, as there's lots of like little drawers for things.
Alright.
As
Meryl-
Portia enters the room, she raps against the wooden door frame in a pattern. Who's there? You hear, muffled by wood, as a voice emanates from what seems to be above you.
Oh, great. We've walked into a trap.
I am Mateo. We've come here with Portia. We were told it was safe here to hide out from the shadows.
Meryl, were you wanting to do anything with the drawers?
Oh yeah, I'll kind of lean over the counter and kind of like look to see if anyone's paying a whole lot of attention to me, and if not, I'm just kind of start pulling open a drawer to see what I can see.
As you rummage one open, as the distraction of that voice and knocking kind of shifts everyone's attentions for a bit. You pull it open, it's a bunch of loose baubles. Actually, you see like sewing needles, you see some thread, you see loose change, as well as like it actually rolls with you, like these glass eyes, essentially, of various animals. They're like dark, they've been painted on, they kind of roll and clatter like marbles would in a drawer. This seems to be like just loose odds and ends and bits and pieces in this drawer. Nothing of value beyond like a few silver pieces.
So Meryl will kind of see the eyeballs roll and just and like wait for a second and reach in and start to pick up the coins real quick and then put the drawer closed again.
As Portia then steps into the room, she closes the door behind you and reaches up and opens the flame on another gas lamp light in this area. And it kind of just illuminates the whole area in a nice soft glow. Now, it basically just overshadowing, it's a silly word to use, the candle that's lit. So now it's a bright room. It's not a trap, at least not for you four. And she would actually motion to a kind of a tripwire that's set up in the hallway leading out of this room. Want to step over that? So Dieter's upstairs and he can tell you more about what's going on, though he's a tough nut to crack if you catch my meaning.
Having been from Driftchapel for quite some time, would I have any kind of previous knowledge of this guy or even have spoken to him?
He is a extremely drunk man. You've probably never even heard of him ever leaving this
The shop.
building. Yeah, just always drunk in a stupor. Like his existence is even like almost a myth, to the point like no one ever actually sees him out and about.
Well, this should be interesting, fellas. We get to meet the man, the myth, the legend.
I imagine Mateo's been to this place at least like a few times before, if for nothing else than for a building inspection on occasion, just making sure everything's on the up and up.
Yeah, and you know that the taxidermy shop is not run by this Dieter, but a woman whose name is Lavidia, the same woman whose name is placarded underneath that stuffed fish in the now burnt down inn. But she's nowhere to be seen, it seems. think it would be best if I wait down here and keep watch out these windows. And she like wipes away some soot about on the window to peer out into the darkness for creatures.
So where's Lavidia?
Perhaps upstairs too. I never know where she is. She's always so quiet. The wind blows, and the window that she's looking out of kind of rattles in its frame from the strong wind.
If anything looks like it's going on, don't hesitate to call to us.
Yeah, we got bells. And she gestures to a bunch of bells that look like they've been strung up now to like you can pull on them and they'll ring in various places throughout the house. Little alarms we've set up.
How quaint.
Good system. And Mateo's gonna start to head upstairs.
Mateo, as you leave this room, you see some of these glass eyes of these stuffed animals. They seem to follow your movement as they look as you pass. The heads don't move, of course, just the eyes. I need you to roll a madness roll, please.
That is a 3. He's good.
You're good.
Funny enough, when you kind of glance around, you'll see Arlo is actually going to the different creatures and actually looking into their eyes for a second and then across. Kind of just a couple of them here and there, back and forth, and then he'll continue on.
As you make your way down this hallway, the floorboards continue to creak with your steps. You hear that rattling of the windows every now and then as the wind picks up and dies down. And you hear kind of just this discordant, echoey music, quiet and faint, coming from what now you can see is the stairs leading up, this thin stairwell leading up one floor. It drifts and climbs and falls in this quaint silence. Some phonograph, perhaps. An early record player. Your footfalls up the stairs are loud and echo throughout the building. At the top of the stairs, you see a woman. She's standing at the top of the stairs, only illuminated from the back, so you can only see her silhouette. She's got this large bun of hair messily tied behind her head, and a greasy apron covering her front. She's got thick gloves on and thin spectacles that perch on her bony nose. Her? It seems Portia's brought in more cats in the rain. She kind of sneers down at the four of you.
Does the silhouette remind Mateo of what Lavidia would look like? Or
Yes.
is it different? Okay.
Yeah.
Lavidia, always a pleasure.
It seems to be.
Are
Are you interested in one of my little pets, perhaps?
I was interested in speaking to Dieter if he's still here.
It's always Dieter, always Dieter. If you will need me, I'll be washing the dishes. As she turns away and goes to the kitchen that's in this. You realize it's kind of a small apartment style house that's on top of the shop. He was being there. She points to the living room. You can kind of hear a rocking chair creaking in time with the weird melody of the phonograph music.
Is anyone coming up with Mateo?
Probably with you.
I'll be coming with you as well.
Okay.
I'm just soaking it in.
Teo's gonna head towards the sound of the rocking chair then.
And the smell of booze gives away the presence of anyone in this room. As you see just this man slumped in this rocking chair. He's covered head to toe in just like these soiled rags. He's got this haggard appearance of a thick beard that hasn't even been touched in what looks like years. He's got a big hat that covers his head. Like it seems a fashion trend of all the people in this town. As sits there, his arm kind of lolling over the arm of this rocking chair, holding a flask that's upended and nothing's coming out. It's empty. And sitting kind of a bit hidden in the folds of his shirt, you see what other people would just see as a bit of jewelry, some kind of brooch hidden away on his undershirt. But you, Mateo, you recognize the symbol of it, the symbol of a dawn hammer. Hear him grumble.
Mateo walks around to his front and kneels down in front of him. Hello, Peter. My name's Mateo. We're friends of...
And just this waft of just like the most alcoholic breath you've ever smelled just smacks you right in the face.
He coughs a little bit. My name is Mateo, and we're friends of Portia.
Alright. What do you want?
We were just wondering what sort of measures you took against the shadow creatures outside, and if you knew what they were.
Don't remember. Too thirsty. Where?
Slade takes out a flask from inside his coat pocket and kind of like jiggles it, sloshing the liquid around inside.
That catches his attention. He just reached out his hand to like.
I'll smack it like scolding a child.
You'll get it once you've earned it, Dieter.
What do you want?
We want answers.
Alright, what questions you got for me?
Mateo sort of reaches down into the collar of his armor, and he pulls out the necklace with the symbol of the dawn hammer on it. He's going to say, I was hoping you'd just be able to do this for a fellow brother.
Yeah, well, all my brothers are dead. You too.
You'd see Slade also reach into his pocket, and his is significantly more tarnished, probably even muddy. Sling it out on the table.
We're not all dead. Not yet, anyway.
And also a symbol of the dawn hammer.
Meryl will turn to look at Arlo as if expecting him to pull one out too.
Arlo will be with his rag kind of cleaning a spot off to lean against the wall. Well, you won't be finding that on me. I find my solace in something older. And if you're looking directly at Arlo, probably for the first time, he'll kind of make eye contact with you. And you'll see why his eyes look dark. They are black. Like, completely void of any specks of color or anything.
Meryl just, Jesus, these people. And he'll reach into his shirt and pull out a necklace too. It's not a dawn hammer. Someone will go, I've got a fancy necklace too, but and it's a wolf's head on a necklace. And it actually, compared to the rest of his outfit, it actually looks decent. He's like, is this going to get us anywhere either with this drunkard?
Well, now that all our cards are on the table, I'll let you know that I've seen them all right. I've seen them take everything. I'm all that remains here. I'm all that's left. You brothers call yourselves people who still yet live. You're gonna be gone before the night ends, I know that for sure. Kind of spits in your face a bit. Not like through intentional, like a spit, it's just like from his slobber.
What kind of illumination is in this room? Just lamplight, gaslight?
Yeah, it's kind of a dim lamplight.
I almost picture like it's over maybe by like the phonograph or something, kind
Yeah.
of silhouetting half the room. I'm gonna grab this guy by his shirt and kind of like pull him close. Not
Get
like,
your hands off me.
Look here, you old stain on the Dawn Hammer's name. Your brothers are dead, mine are too. I got thrown overboard with them.
You've seen them then? Call them the deep ones.
I aim to kill them. And you're gonna help me.
I'm gonna sit him back down in his chair and like throw the flask into his lap.
Drink up. Because after this, you're reconscripted.
He looks down at it, looks up at you. He kind of lolls a bit because he's off balance from this whole ordeal. Kind of thinks about this for a bit, it seems. Then grabs the flask and uncorks it and gives it a sniff. Cheers you. And down the hatch it goes. Goop, goop. Aye. Color me convinced.
Excellent. Now tell us what you know about the shadows.
Shadows are the gloom, you know. Creeps in. Things and horrors lurk inside it. I've seen them grab people, drown them. That's not even the worst of it. Them fishy-eyed monsters with oily skin and they cackle and gurgle.
Hold
They're
on.
crawling through the muck too. Them the deep ones.
The fish eyes.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about them?
They're smart. I know that for damn sure. And they're hungry. I don't know for what, but they've been picking us off one by one each night until there's just whatever fuckers are out there still right now.
Do they look like people, men?
No, well, they got 2 arms and 2 legs and a head. They look like a bear or a person, whatever the fuck you want to. No, they're not a person.
I would turn to the rest of the party.
That man I asked you about. He didn't blink like you or me. He blinked like a fish.
Oh, like one of them fish-eyed people you're talking about. That's them. Them strange people working down in the caves beneath Driftchapel. You probably don't know of them. Not even you. Pointing at you, Mateo. Driftchapel's built on something dark and evil. Some grand labyrinth of caves beneath the seafloor.
You'll notice for the first time since you met him, somebody's got Arlo's full attention.
Seems you've captured our friends' attention. Go on.
Lean in real close to him. You've looked into this darkness and survived.
Yeah, well, I'm missing a leg from it, though. and he kind of shakes the stump, essentially, of his right leg. It's cut off a little bit below the knee, so he has that knee to work with, but it's something gnarly. It's actually kind of like folded up. His pant leg is kind of folded up and essentially sewn together.
I'll never break eye contact with him when he does that. We'll say, tell me more. Tell me all about the darkness below. I'll lean in real close.
There's nothing good in that darkness down there. Nothing good. Nothing worth looking at. Nothing worth talking about. Monsters,
People that need
filth.
help.
Huh? What'd you say, boy?
There may be people that need help.
No, they're long gone. You don't understand. Nothing comes back from the gloam. Nothing comes back from the dark. Nothing
There's
comes
time for
back from the
everything.
deep ones. You ever seen a wolf eat someone alive, spill their guts out in the snow? Give that wolf the smartness of a man bent on nothing but killing. Give him razor-sharp fangs and claws. That's them deep ones.
Mateo leans forward with one hand on his knee, and he lifts up the side of his chainmail and his shirt, and you see 3 massive slash marks in a scar, and he'd say, "Oh, I'm plenty aware of what they can do." And then he'd drop them and let it.
You seen some one of them deep ones too?
Yeah, and I got away from it.
Well, call yourself lucky. 'Cause goddamn, we ain't blessed no more. As he takes another swig.
I don't recall ever being blessed.
Don't recall much anymore.
Suppose that's what happens when you give up.
I'd like to see you do something with only one leg.
I suppose if it's any benefit to you, it's less blood for your alcohol to travel through.
Cheers to that.
Go ahead, finish it. I think I've had about all I can drink of this piss.
We may be able-bodied, but you can still be of assistance if you want to be. Don't want to, I'm not going to force you. And Mateo would get up and cross his arms.
If them deep ones are what you're after, Agnes would know more. She should be out somewhere, back any time now. I think. Thanks for the grog, by the way. You can go on now. You had your talk with me. You can leave me alone and listen to my music. He kind of gives a wheezing cough.
I hope you remember what it means to be a hammer. And Mateo will leave the room.
And you're met face to face, Mateo, with Lavidia, with her crooked nose, just her arms folded, her kind of like looking down through her spectacles at you, but she says nothing.
Lavidia, Dieter mentioned someone by the name of Agnes. Would you know where to find her?
Agnes, the Ordist, of course. And as soon as she says Agnes the Ordist, you would recognize that name. There's a few Agneses, in town, of course, but there's one of particular note. An Ordist, a person who is... The best way to explain it would be the cross between a fortune teller, an alchemist, a scientist, and a wizard. Someone who operates strange science and divination in their strange laboratories. And she has one in Driftchapel. Agnes. The oldest.
Was she coming back here? Was she here at all?
She was gathering supplies for us from her place. It seems in this dark night the entire town is compromised. We are what's left of those who remain against the dark tidings of the ones.
Hopefully, it's enough to withstand the ebb and flow of the tide as it washes back out to sea.
As you will. Are you thirsty by chance? A bit parched? I've put on a spot of tea for us.
Wonderful.
That
Thank you.
sounds lovely.
And she leads you to the kitchen and to a set of chairs around a low table in some kind of dining room. She sets down teacups on little tea plates. They're very ornate but they're grimy. Oh dear, sorry about that. Wipes it away with her soiled kind of rag. There. And she would pour tea one by one to each of you who wish to have tea.
Out of respect for her and the service that she provides for the town, Mateo is going to take off his gauntlets before he starts partaking in the tea.
You wouldn't by chance have anything a little stronger, would you?
Oh no, Dieter's drank it up long ago. That's what Agnes is getting. Among other things, of course, but Dieter's no use to us without his liquid courage, you know.
Perhaps you should just end that phrase halfway. Dieter's no use to you.
And she seems a bit puzzled by that, or like not puzzled. Like she wants to say something, but she's holding herself back at that. Yes, she would say. She like force a yes.
Slade is
Smile.
purely doing this out of provocation.
And you've definitely provoked her, but she's biting her tongue. You can tell. Tea.
Thank you.
She pours you a nice warm little cup of tea. And it smells of citrus and herbs and other tea-ish smells.
Lydia, how long has Dieter been like that?
As long as I've known him, to be frank. I mean, that long. He showed up here one night and, well, left in an unconscious man and hasn't left since.
Are you the one who helped him with his leg?
Yes, I am quite adept with the sewing needle. If you've seen my my pets downstairs.
Yes, the Thai bear.
Ah, isn't it wonderful?
It's a lovely piece.
Thank you. I've been working on some others, other animals. Yes.
Mateo takes a sip of his tea and he just takes another glance in the direction of the room that Dieter is in. Has he caused any trouble for you?
No, he hasn't moved from that spot. He's a bit smelly, but that's what my bleach and formaldehyde are for, I guess. Every so often I have to go and change out his rags. He helps me sometimes, but it's a grisly task, but I've dealt with worse. You know, the corpses and all. Corpses of animals, that is. Yes.
Where does Portia fit into all this?
Portia, she looks up to him, Dieter, for some odd reason. I think it's more that she looks up to that brooch he wears than the man himself. She's an orphan in this town, but taken onto him like a father, or like a child unto a father. Terrible father, that is, but
If she's amazed by the brooch that he wears, she'll be blinded by what he could be.
I fear that is the case. She seems to be a bit wet behind the ears. Pardon the expression at this time of year. Everything's wet these days.
She mentioned the deep once to us. Is that a particular raving of his? Does he talk about them often?
The deep ones. It's a bit of a sore spot with him, as his last partner was finished off by one of them. Or so he says, as I've gathered from his ramblings. A man by the name of Finch Turner. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I'm familiar with the name. I didn't meet the man.
He's but yea tall. I met him once before he met his end. And as she describes him, Slade, if you're listening to this, the way she describes his cheekbones, his hair color, his clothing, you imagine that person sitting in that bar, looking across from you with those strange eyes that blink in that strange way. But she describes him in a way where he was, properly groomed, had a good set of armor and crossbows and hammers, as he was a Dawn Hammer.
I would place my tea glass, finished, of course, on the saucer and slide it away from the edge of the table. You may have given us more information than I ever thought would be possible. It seems I have met this person, perhaps.
He was a good man. He had good features. For a person, that is.
For a person.
So, what will be of you? Why did Portia bring you here? We have only so many rooms available to house us now. I can't keep you for long.
Portia brought us back because she felt that it was dangerous outside in the dark.
Tis. She's not wrong. That's why I'm here. And Dieter's here, and Portia's here. And Agnes, too, if she would come back. Anytime now.
Would you like us to go out and search for Agnes? Get her back safe?
Oh, that would be much well. Very good, yes. If you would go out in that darkness now, in this time of day, night, as it were. I would not do it myself, of course. That's why I'm here.
I am certainly willing, but I cannot force my friends to do something that is against their better judgment.
I don't know if I can stand the smell of formaldehyde anymore.
Is it that strong? Sorry.
You managed to smell left. I'm not entirely sure. I'll join you, Mateo.
Well, it sure beats hanging out in here. I'll join you guys. Another romp out into town.
Without even saying anything, Arlo will get up from his untouched teacup, still with his rag in his hand. take one more glance back at the old drunk. Yes. Let's see what's in this darkness.
Mateo would get up with the rest of them. He'll look at her and he's going to say, if she's out there, we'll get her back.
Thank you. And I have one odd request, it would seem. If you were to get one of these deep ones, I would like...
You'd like us
in the
to bring it
flesh.
back.
No, one of them. Or part of it. So I can have it as one of my pets. And she rubs her hands together when she says that.
We'll try our best.
Thank you. She seems a bit, giddy at the thought of that. She turns around and collects the teacups and takes them over to her sink that pours out black water as she draws water from it to wash and these drinking cups. And the water that pours out seems to be like ink, black and dark and oily, like it was, like those beings, that being, back when you were lighting the lamps down in the streets. But then it becomes normal water again, though a bit more dark than normal as you blink your eyes. And all four of you need to roll your madness die at the sight of this.
A 5.
Times the charm, right, Connor?
3, I'm good.
I'm good, got 5.
That's a big 2 for me.
Your sanity breaks once more as you're just focused and honed in on this darkness, on this water. So your die will reduce down one size, as well as you'll need to roll me a d10.
10.
All right. Let me get to this toolbox. Of things. Oh, locations. Am I too far? I am probably too far. Probably should have saved these madness rules. I'll do that for next time. Here it is. All right, you rolled a 10. And so any food or water that you have on your person, Arlo, you just realize that all of it is also black and inky and disgusting and reeks of rotten fish. Any flasks of water you have, that realization comes to the forefront of your mind. And you have the urge to just discard all food and water that you have right now.
Yeah, I mean, not much. There'll be like a water skin. Maybe, probably like an apple or something in his pocket, and you'll see he takes his cloth and picks each thing up and throws it.
Just imagine that apple being like, you imagine biting into that apple and just having that black oil leaking out of it and clinging to your teeth, and how disgusting that would be. And you imagine like the water skin, your water skin, you're being this disgusting sludge, and you just discard all of it. Though the others would see Arlo discarding perfectly fine food, essentially food and drink.
As far as Mateo knows, this is just Arlo being Arlo. He's been pretty weird this whole time.
Yeah, Merrill everyone in town is pretty weird around here. So he's just like, he looks at his food and kind of like looks at it a little bit and gives it a quick sniff. It smells okay. And just goes back to walking along with everyone else.
So are the lamps that we lit where we were and then on the way here, are those the only ones that are lit as far as we know?
Yeah, it seems that all the other ones have just been extinguished by just the passing winds. And as you're leaving this building, Dieter, the drunk, would yell something out. He yells, "You can always spot someone with deep one blood in them. Their skin is green. They smell of brine and mud." Before he just like honks back asleep.
Is Portia still about where we left her?
Yeah, and she's less like vigilant now. She's sitting in a chair, leaning back in it, and she's polishing the barrel of her rifle. She has a rifle, and kind of just tending to her powder packages, making sure it's all primed and ready and cleaned.
We'll be back. We're going out to see if we can find Agnes.
Oh, Agnes. Yeah, she hasn't been back yet. Oh. Stay safe. We'll be here.
We'll get her back to you.
Just remember the knock. As she imitates the knock on the wood.
Mateo is
No, it's
gonna practice it against the door.
Good. There you go.
Meryl, seeing her working on her rifle, will be like, "Oh, that's right," and he'll take a minute, and like, "Hold on, guys, hold on," and he'll start actually reloading his blunderbuss. He hasn't reloaded it this whole time because it's been one thing after another, and then raining and everything else. So he's got a minute while it's dry. He's gonna prep his blunderbuss again.
Remember to stay in the light.
You wouldn't by chance happen to have a lantern we could take with us, would you?
Yeah, you can have mine. She thinks about it for a bit before saying that. I won't need it much in here, I hope. And hands it to you.
Meryl
It
will
is
take it.
unlit, but yeah.
Thank you. Good. Excellent.
And you set out into the night, leaving behind the ding ding bell door as you leave the taxidermist shop and leave that acrid smells of things behind you after you've prepped your gear. The rain is still pouring down in this torrent, and a huge wind comes brushing by, chilling you as it just soaks into your clothing after you've dried off a little bit from the warmth of the shop. You hear echoing in the darkness these gurgly cackles. A smell of rotting fish, of brine, of mud hits your noses as you see figures shift and leave the light beyond in the shadows, scurrying through the alleyways as they essentially no longer can be seen as they break away. You hear the rain collecting in some rain gutter. And as you walk by, we see two sharp, piercing yellow eyes peering out of this rain gutter as it watches the four of you walk by it before it slinks back down in the darkness. And that's where we're ending our session. So, short and sweet, we'll pick up the game the next available Monday. We can just discuss that in the chat. Yeah, have some fun with that. So, we're going to say goodnight to all of the viewers or past, present, and future. And I'm going to say goodnight, everybody. Ooh, that was Gloam. That was Shadows of Driftchapel. And I'll hit this button. Boop.